Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Mid-South Wrestling Review Series, and we are looking at December 1st, 1983. Can't believe we're already in December. Also, can't believe we have what will amount to 2 years worth of stuff here in the Mid-South category. We've got nearly 900, actually over 900 now, by the time everything gets uploaded. Audios available of both modern day and um, old school wrestling, the way that people prefer it, or most people prefer it. Doug Vines and Crusher Darso is here. Darso has, for lack of a better term, basically gone pretty heelish, although I don't think that's been officially established yet. But you see him with more strikes and Vines cranking up on the head a bit, and we kind of see a shove off and a tackle, and Darso doesn't go anywhere. Darso with the hip toss over the hip and deep arm drag around the area. Then we see him staying on the arm quite a bit. Darso having only lost to the Junkyard Dog and King Kong Bundy, I think, one time. But, I mean, only, no, Nikolai Volkov. It's the dog and Volkov at this point. He comes out of the corner, so he's been very well protected. Gets him up across the shoulders with the backbreaker and gets a victory. Dr. Death, Steve Williams, and Nikolai Volkov. Probably the biggest challenge of Volkov's run here. And probably Williams, too, for a totally different reason. Just experience level, but Dr. Death not going to go down to Volkov in a squash, I can't imagine. And that's even what I wrote here. But anyway, we see the Russian national anthem is played. We kind of hear the fans solidly behind Dr. Death. Hard shots by Volkov, and again, kick to the back of the knee. Some knees to the side of the head and side of the ribcage area. And Williams knocks the big man back. Hard shots, and again, takes him out of the corner. Doesn't get everything he wants on it, but does work the leg and kind of twisting, almost like a spinning toe hold, without the spinning part. So just kind of cranking on the ankle, trying to get some torque on the ankle, and then Volkov comes up, nails him under the chin, trying to choke him out. Is Volkov, and we see several minutes of that. It kind of keeps going, comes back to his feet, and goes back to the same move, takes him down, and then we see kind of some benefit of Crusher Khrushchev kind of watching on a little bit there, trying to get somewhere between a chokeout or an armbar, and Dr. Death eventually comes up with the wrist lock. Interesting that they basically got 2 or 3 minutes out of just a simple hold there, and Volkov manages to take a couple of headbutts, keeps going, also trying to stomp right on the fingers and wrists of his adversary. Short knee by Dr. Death Steve Williams, and doesn't get all he wants there, but gets enough to get things going in his general direction. Irish whip by Dr. Death. Death manages to tackle the man, and actually goes for a flying tackle, but misses. The referee goes to the outside, and a pile driver, or actually the hanging neck vice by Crusher Khrushchev, sending Dr. Death back into the ring. Or Crusher Darso, rather, sending Dr. Death back into the ring. The referee comes back around. Volkov hits a big boot and the big backbreaker, but the fans and the announcers and everybody shocked by the turn of events of Darso, and the backbreaker leads to an unthinkable, as the I guess, pretty well winning streak of Dr. Death Steve Williams has come to a close, at least to the run he's been on over the last little while, as Nikolai Volkov defeats him. Joshua Stroud and Lanny Poffo are tagging here against the Midnight Express. Loverboy Dennis and Beautiful Bobby. Jim Cornette does the introductions. He basically says that everybody who he even has a quarter of a brain should understand the value of the Midnight Express, and he is not complimentary to anybody but the Midnight Express. Of course, they are new here. Dennis wearing a beautiful robe. Bobby a little bit less, but he's still a pretty big thing here. And I didn't realize how much I would have loved to have seen Bobby Eaton against the Genius in a different setting. I don't know that we'd see it well here. But Poffo up and over and a big back body drop. Shame that Poffo didn't get more play in other territories. Double head scissors takeover on the Midnight Express by Poffo, and he looks like he's really coming into his own. Of course, he comes into his own more so in Memphis over the next year or so. But it is very clear that we see kind of the takedown and drive of Stroud. The Midnight Express gets kind of tossed around a little bit. Meanwhile, Beautiful Bobby hits some kicks and floats the chancery. Dennis tries to break things down and drops the knee across the elbow and arm of his adversary. And I'm sorry, I spoke incorrectly. This is the December 3rd edition of Mid-South of 1983. Anyway, gut wrench suplex. I think I said first originally, but gut wrench suplex into the kind of backbreaker, side suplex hanging into the double team finish for the Midnight Express, and they have another victory. Magnum TA against Frank Levant. Magnum TA, former, I don't know if he's recognized North American champion, but he did visually hold the title for a couple of weeks. Takedown on Levant by TA, and he manages to control things for a couple of minutes. Fireman's carry takeover into arm bars, and meanwhile we see Wrestling 2 at ringside taking notes. Their partnership has continued quite well. The come up from, I wouldn't necessarily call it behind, but certainly the come up that's there, and an Irish whip again by TA. TA manages to get the finish with what I believe amounts to the belly-to-belly suplex that he normally uses. But in any event, I think the referee actually missed the finish there, or the cameraman did. And so TA does get a victory. That much we do know, and he continues on his winning ways. Mr. Wrestling 2 against the Missing Link is up next. Missing Link kind of still trying to find himself. Wrestling 2 has been a major star since we started our journey in 81, so at least 2 years here on and off in the Mid-South area, more on than off. Link gets pushed back to the ropes. He doesn't like this very much, but doesn't really falter too terribly much. Meanwhile, Wrestling 2 comes up and over and around, and we kind of see some attempts at continuation and some side headlocks there. Big hip toss, and Wrestling 2 manages to do what he can, where he can. Hip tosses, and then we see the takedown, tries to get the pinning attempt, and ultimately manages to do some kind of wrestling. We finally see to get Wrestling 2 on the top rope, and kind of walks his way up the second rope backwards, kind of standing on the rope, and then we see him hold on to the arm a little bit, kind of coming through. Missing Link tries to kick, doesn't get all he wants. Link takes over on the arm for a little bit. Again, doesn't get all he wants. Short knee lift, knocking the Link to the outside. Not sure that is what is intended there. Knees and punches by the Link to the back and the spine, dropping the knee across the spine of Wrestling 2 Irish Whip, and short knee lift by Wrestling 2. And again, Link goes to the top rope on the inside and misses the diving headbutt. I think that's the only reason he's not disqualified. Roll up by Wrestling 2. I think he caught him with the... Yeah, he does catch him with the knee first. And ultimately, there we see the victory for Mr. Wrestling 2. Tom Letts against Hacksaw Doug, and we saw that kind of called last week that it was going to happen. And it does here. Letts, I don't know much about, although he's kind of portrayed as somebody important in the lead up that he would be given advanced scouting time of Duggan. Duggan pushes him back and muscles him around. They're about the same size. Let's a little bit smaller. Anyway, Duggan misses with the knee drop out of the corner, and that doesn't end well for him. We then see a tackle in the corner, shoulder tackle in the like by Lutz. Lutz with the Irish whip and a big clothesline by Duggan. Duggan with the double chop, and again we kind of see Duggan with the Irish whip and a big back body drop. Duggan now sets for the three-point stance and the football tackle. Leaping shoulder tackle out of the corner. 1, 2, 3. Duggan gets a victory. Not quite sure why you hype a guy with an interview if you're going to beat him his first time in, but that's there. Darsow basically says that the Junkyard Dog in America, being American, has done nothing for him, and admits that's why he turned on the Junkyard Dog and the fans. That is the crux of his promo. Tonga and Carl Fergie against Rick Rude and Mike Jackson. Tonga is kind of a big deal. Not quite sure that putting him with Carl Fergie is the smartest of ideas, but it's an idea. Fergie and Rude start off. Rude very, very thin for this time, although I think this is actually his rookie year, if not very close to it. Obviously, by the mid 80s, he's in world class and spends the majority of time in WWF for several years, WCW for a little while after that, and then has the injury there. But anyway, Fergie catches a short knee on Rude. I think Fergie has a couple years on Rude as far as experience goes. Rude, though, showing great athleticism, including but unlimited to a few drop kicks, and he is up and over and around. Of course, by this point, he has not started spelling his name R-U-D-E. We are R-O-O-D here. Jackson comes in with a side headlock on Fergie, and again, Irish whips there. They kind of grapple over things. Jackson does the up and over and the around with the hip toss, complete spot, and ultimately the tie up with Tonga and Rude kind of having at it a little bit, and certainly Rude is able to ground Tonga down on the canvas. Doesn't last very long. Takes him back though. Action Jackson, or Mike Jackson, comes back into the ring, and we kind of see him with the arm bars and arm drags and the like. Tonga, though, does drive his opponent back. Fergie comes back in, big backdrop on Jackson, and we see the attempted Lawler fist drop, which he nails. From the second rope, 1, 2, and Jackson out the back door. Don't know if this is going to go to time limit I've written here, but I can imagine that it would. Meanwhile, the Tonga comes back into the ring, hits the back double chop, and again, 1, 2, and out the back door we go again. Irish whip, and hits the drop kick. Does Rude. Fergie's on the other side with Jackson. And we kind of have a four-way brawl going on here, which, honestly, Bill Watts seems to like those, especially in final matches. He likes to end hot, and that is a good thing. We close with a non-finish, and we will be back with more of the month of December right here on the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel.